Welcome to the Letter Room, where history's forgotten words and untold stories come back to life. Today, I'm going to tell you a strange but true story from the heart of World War II. A story you might find hard to believe. Picture this. The year is 1943, right in the middle of the war. New York is buzzing with wartime chaos. The harbors are packed with military ships, soldiers crowd the streets, and rationing touches the lives of every family. In the middle of this turmoil, someone unexpected is helping the U.S. government. Charles Lucky Luciano, the powerful boss of the New York Mafia. Yes, you heard that right. A gangster locked up in Clinton prison was secretly working with the U.S. Navy on a covert mission called Operation Underworld. So, who exactly was Luciano? His name was one that shook New York during the 1930s. He was brilliant, ruthless, and undeniably charismatic, the man who built the foundation of the modern American Mafia. He reorganized the mob into a structured national crime syndicate, a network so effective it influenced almost every corner of American life. But by 1943, the great Luciano was behind bars, serving a 30-year sentence for organized crime. And yet, the U.S. Navy came to him for help. Why? Because the Mafia controlled the docks of New York, and America feared that German saboteurs or spies might slip in and strike the war effort at its very heart, the supply lines and warships leaving New York Harbor. From inside prison, Luciano managed to coordinate with old allies like Meyer Lansky, his closest friend and confidant. Lansky had deep influence on the streets, and together they mobilized the underworld to protect America's harbors. Dock workers were pressured to stay loyal. Suspicious activity was monitored, and rumors of sabotage were swiftly silenced. Incredibly, Luciano's influence even stretched beyond the United States. When the Allies launched their invasion of Sicily in 1943, his connections to Sicilian networks were said to have smoothed the way for the troops. The thought that the U.S. military and the Mafia could be partners still sounds unbelievable today, but desperate times called for desperate measures. And that brings us to something even more personal. Today, we're going to read a very special letter from Luciano, a letter he wrote to Meyer Lansky. This wasn't just about strategy or power. This was about friendship, loyalty, and humanity. Behind the image of the ruthless mob boss, there was also a man who felt loneliness, exhaustion, and longing. From his cell in Clinton prison in April 1943, Luciano poured his thoughts onto paper. He wrote about missing the life he once had, about his hopes that his cooperation with the government might eventually win him freedom, and about the loyalty he still felt toward his closest friend. This letter is remarkable because it shows us another side of Lucky Luciano, not the feared gangster on the streets of New York, but the man trapped in a prison cell, writing like any other human being who missed home and longed for connection. It is a window into the mind of a figure both infamous and legendary, someone who shaped organized crime but also became, in a strange twist of history, a reluctant ally in America's war effort. Are you ready to dive into this extraordinary story? Let's open the letter together and discover what was truly going on inside the heart of one of history's most notorious gangsters.
Clinton Prison, Dannemora, April 1943.
Dear Meyer,
I'm sitting here in this cold cell, thinking of you and the boys keeping things tight out there. These walls are closing in, but knowing you got my back makes it bearable. The Navy guys keep coming round, talking about deals, keeping the docks clean, maybe something bigger in Sicily. I don't trust them, but if it gets me out of here, I'll play their game. I think about the old days, Meyer. Running the streets, dodging the cops, building something from nothing. We did good, didn't we? But now I'm tired. I miss the city noise, the smell of cigars, even the fights. I miss you, brother. Not just the business, you. You're the only one I can talk straight with. They say this war's changing everything. Maybe it'll change things for us, too. Keep an eye on Albert. He's loyal, but wild. Tell the boys to stay sharp. Don't let nobody muscle in on our turf. If this deal with the Navy pans out, maybe I'll see you sooner than we think. Keep the faith, Meyer. You're my family. Yours, Charlie.
So, what do you think? This letter feels like a window into the heart of Lucky Luciano. A man we all know as a ruthless gangster, but here he appears as a loyal friend, a tired human being, and someone still holding on to the hope of freedom. In 1943, Luciano was in prison, yet he was still running his empire from behind bars. What makes this letter so unique is its contradiction. On one side, Luciano is striking deals with the U.S. Navy to keep New York's docks secure and even help with the invasion of Sicily. On the other side, he's missing his friend and longing for his old life. This clash between power and vulnerability, between crime and loyalty, tells a human story that still speaks to us today. Operation Underworld, the mission Luciano was involved in, is one of the strangest chapters of World War II. The Mafia and the U.S. government, two old enemies, were forced to work together against the Nazi threat. Imagine the setting. New York Harbor in the 1940s, a place buzzing with dock workers, ships heading to Europe, and constant fear that German agents might sneak in. Luciano and Meyer Lansky, through the Mafia's dockside network, made sure no sabotage took place. Even in Sicily, the local Mafia helped the Allies by providing information and connections that cleared the way for their invasion. This unlikely cooperation earned Luciano a reduction in his sentence, and by 1946, he was released, but he was immediately deported to Italy. Life in Clinton Prison was harsh. Luciano, once the untouchable king of New York's underworld, now spent his days in a cold cell, surrounded by guards and cut off from the city that once moved to his command. And yet, the letter reveals that even there, he still dreamed, he still plotted, he still reached out to the only people who reminded him of freedom, his friends on the outside. His bond with Meyer Lansky was more than just business. It was brotherhood forged in the alleys of Manhattan and the smoke-filled rooms of Prohibition-era clubs. Writing to Lansky gave him comfort, a reminder that even if the world saw him as a criminal, someone still remembered him as a man, The contradictions pile up. Here was a gangster, serving time for crimes against the state, yet secretly partnering with that very state to protect it. Here was a man whose name inspired fear in judges and policemen, yet whose private words were filled with weariness, longing, and hope. That's what makes this letter so extraordinary. It strips away the myth and leaves us with the man. So why is this letter important? Because it shows that even tough men like Luciano had a heart. Alone in his cell, he thought of his friend, his empire, and that small hope of freedom. That mix of loyalty and longing is something we can all relate to, isn't it? Maybe in our own lives we've had moments where we felt trapped, but a friend or a purpose gave us the strength to keep going. It also forces us to ask bigger questions. Can a man like Luciano, responsible for so much crime, violence, and corruption, ever be remembered as a kind of hero for helping the Allies? Or was he simply playing another game of power, turning war into an opportunity to protect himself and his empire? History doesn't give us easy answers. Some say his cooperation saved lives in New York and Sicily. Others argue it was nothing more than self-interest, disguised as patriotism. My question for you is this: can a criminal like Luciano ever be seen as a hero in war? Or was it just another game of power? Share your thoughts in the comments, because I'm really curious to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this strange story of the Mafia and World War II, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we can uncover more hidden histories together. Maybe next time we'll dive into another gangster or a new story from the war you tell me what you'd like to see.